Welcome to the holiday season. It's that time of year when we celebrate, starting with Halloween, down the slippery slope to Thanksgiving, picking up speed as we head into Christmas, and sliding home at New Year's. It's a fun time. It's an exhausting time, and it can be a complicated time. Some people don't enjoy it at all. They can hardly wait for it to be over. For some, it can feel like a lot of work to keep up all the family traditions. On the other hand, we may not want those traditions taken away, and this year especially, it feels like there has been loss and change for many of us. Maybe there is an empty chair at your Thanksgiving table. Maybe medical challenges this year prevent you from participating in your usual holiday activities. Maybe COVID continues to complicate your life. The holidays may not be the same as they used to be. So this morning we're going to look at the question of how we go into the next 6 weeks. If it's going to be different, let's admit it up front and be intentional about how we change and adapt. I was talking to Jan the other day, and she shared with me a card that her daughter Diane had sent her recently. You know, Jan just came home yesterday on the third of her cycles of hospital, rehab, home, which is, as you know, an exhausting one. And she was upbeat when I talked to her because Jan is invincible. But man, has this been a challenging time. So this card kind of summarized it. The front of the card had a pretzel on it. And the card said, "A pretzel is a piece of dough that finds itself in a difficult position and decides to live with it." And you open the card and it says, "Be a pretzel." So that's Jan's new mantra, and it's the title of my message this morning, Be a Pretzel. You might wonder what the parable of the great dinner has to do with being a pretzel. Parables are marvelously versatile. You can read them in any number of ways. Sometimes our approach is, what did Jesus mean? What was he trying to convey? He had to obscure it and make it a little enigmatic to keep the leaders, the Pharisees and the Romans, off his back. But he was trying to tell us something. What was it? Other times we read a parable more like a koan or like Lectio Divina. We ask, what does this story have to say to me today? What is it drawing out of me? What is it bringing to the surface for me to notice? And it's that approach I want to use this morning. In the parable of the great dinner, a man has invited many people to dinner, and presumably they accepted, so he knows how many to expect, and therefore how many animals to kill and prepare. I mean, after all, in those days, you couldn't just run to the grocery store at the last minute if you guessed wrong, right? But when it comes time for dinner and his servant goes to inform the guests, they all suddenly have excuses. And there he is with this huge banquet already prepared and no refrigeration. What's a host to do? He invites different people. The poor, the crippled, the blind, the lame, the people on the roads and the lanes. In short, he makes a new guest list. He makes a new plan when the original plan didn't work. So hold that thought. He made a new plan. I don't know what your relationship is to holiday traditions, but mine is a little bit complicated. I inherited a lot of stuff. My family is used to me doing a lot of stuff. And honestly, to get it all done is kind of exhausting. You know, they're the special foods that people are looking forward to, and the decorations we get out, and the Christmas tree that we put up, and the gifts and the cards and the concerts and the parties and the. You got to ask, why do we do all of this? What's the point? What are we trying to accomplish? Well, certainly the repetition year after year is grounding. It connects us to our past. You know, we always have grandma's pecan pie for Thanksgiving dinner. And you better not mess with the recipe because your family knows it really well. The repetition takes us right back to our childhood, recovering, if only briefly, that sense of safety and comfort that is sometimes elusive as an adult. And then are there everybody else's expectations for you to deal with. So this year, I invite you to look at your plan for the next 6 weeks and ask yourself if any part of it needs a new plan this year. I mean, maybe Christmas Eve has always been a quiet, sweet time with your significant other before the family descends on Christmas Day. And this year you're facing Christmas Eve by yourself. Think about what will help you the most. Maybe you'll choose to spend it alone, reliving memories and saying goodbye one more time. Or maybe you'll choose to do something different. You'll make a new plan, like the dinner host. It's okay to make a new plan. Ask yourself what really matters to you of your many holiday traditions. For me, for example, it's the Christmas tree. It's my most enduring symbol of Christmas, and I love having it in the house. The smell, the lights, the ornaments from all over the world. I've scaled back lots of other things over the years. I mean, I used to spend the day before Christmas making a giant batch of Stollen that has to rise twice, cool at the end, and be iced. Killing myself to get this whole thing done the day before Christmas. Yeah, I don't do that anymore. But the tree needs to be there. It's not as big as it used to be, but it's still there. We have friends who routinely travel at Christmas time, right? The kids are out of school, every place is festive. They've been doing it for years. Hawaii, Europe, the Caribbean, they're always someplace. Where do you put up your Christmas tree, I ask in wonder. Oh, we don't usually have one. I'm like, you can do that? You can do Christmas without a tree? Who knew? So our different things matter to different people. So my invitation to you is to be intentional this year, to think about what of your traditions really matters, and if you can get just a little bit below the surface, what is it about the tradition that matters? And then in the changes that you need to make to accommodate the losses and the diminished abilities this year, make sure that that one most important thing for you is answered in some way, so that it still feels like Christmas. Make a new plan. Ask for help if you need it. Be a pretzel. If you find yourself in a difficult position, decide to live with it. And you might ask, how am I supposed to do that? I think the secret is gratitude. Thanksgiving comes first, so gratitude is front and center. Hold on to it. Focus on what you do have instead of what you have lost. You do have life. You do have a beautiful world to live in. You do have the love that you have experienced in the past, and you have love that surrounds you now. This community is one expression of that love. Let yourself feel that. So tell me about your holiday traditions and what's the most important thing you want to hang on to this year.